Good morning and welcome, Patriot Radio News Hour, live on this Monday, September the 10th. Ooh, tomorrow's 9/11. I'm Joe Jaquint, CEO of the Patriot Trading Group. Our toll-free number, 800-951-0592. Rocking and firing. We've been here for over 2 decades. The physical delivery of wealth insurance, gold and silver, it's what we do. We do it better than anybody, complaint-free for decades. And we're not like anybody else. First of all, no one gives you a show like this. Nobody. Nobody gives you a website like allamericangold.com. If you've never gone out there, you're missing out. Yeah, you can buy stuff online, where we have a shopping cart. But the news, the articles, the videos, everything that you need to know to keep you informed, Monday through Friday, it changes every day. And we don't do it on the weekend, but every day, Monday through Friday. I mean, hundreds of articles, hundreds of videos, and over all kinds of things, not just about gold, not just about silver, but what's going on in the world today, because we want you to actually be informed. Because really, especially now, we don't live in a world, and I guess when you thought about the internet and how powerful it was, that people would have more information than ever before. And here's what we found out. Yes, there is more information than ever before. What we didn't count on is most of the information you're getting, right, isn't the right information, right? It's not accurate. Whether you want to call it fake news or slanted news, or I liken it to when your kids lie to you, right? And we've had this, and I'm sure all of you out there, if you've had kids, you've had a debate like this before, where the child will tell you, well, technically, I didn't lie to you. And what by not telling us the entire story, right, by omitting even small portions, but by omitting details, right? They try to, in my house, that doesn't hold water. Right? I want the entire story. And if I don't get the entire story, you're a liar. Right? Now, that may be too broad-based for most people, but this is the world we live in today, which is, if you do get news, it's watered down. Right? It's full of omittance. So you can't really draw any types of conclusion because they don't want you to know. Go out to All-American Gold, we can't fill in all the blanks, but we try. You can actually take a lot of our stories and then fill in the blanks from what you heard somewhere else and be like, oh, I get it. It's like that jobs report from Friday, right? Yeah, it was 200,000. Of course, they took 50,000 off the prior 2 months, and then but they didn't. That wasn't the big number. It was about a whole 10-cent raise that you allegedly got, and then the funny math where they it was a 2.9% increase. Yeah, not quite. It's not really what they meant, but nonetheless, make sure you go out there. This is what separates us, and you know what else separates us? There's no bait and switch here. For those of you who are like, what's bait and switch? The TV guys are real good at the bait and switch, right? They advertise something, and it's good. Let me tell you, it's good, real good. And then when you call them up, they spend the entire phone call telling you how you don't want that, and you actually want this stuff. It's something that's a 40, 50% margin item, and they don't take the orders. Right? That's the bait and switch. We don't do that here. Matter of fact, our preferred method of ordering, I'd like the special. Our great big sales pressure tactic that we use on everybody is, how many would you like? That's it. Right? Sometimes we may ask, would you like anything else? Most of the time we just take that and that's it. We don't even do that. We're the worst salespeople ever. But this is what separates. No free reports. You don't need free reports. You already know why. You know you need to own it. Everybody needs to own gold and silver. And I know it's easier for the people that have what? Have a lot of money. I get that too. But we also have our metals program, right, for as little as $100 a month. There is no maximum, but for as little as $100 a month, you get 4 physical deliveries a year. It's the best program in the business. 800-951-0592. Gold's up, silver's up. Not big, but they're up a couple bucks. Silver's up 5, 6, 7 cents. The Dow just turned negative. And not a lot going on today, but I'm going to bring you up to speed on tariffs and Apple, what may happen, what President Trump tweeted about Apple today. We're going to talk about that as well, and how much more is that iPhone potentially going to cost. We got a steel worker strike that may be happening because guess what? They want to make more money as well. And then, not to be outdone, we'll take a look at debt and some other things that are happening out there with the Federal Reserve. It's going to be a jam-packed show like it always is. Make sure you're paying attention. We may mix in a real good special or two as well. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back right after the break. 800-951-0592. The special of the day. This is coming out of Pennsylvania, and it's limited, as we've been talking about. So I'll just give you a supply update. Silver Eagles, no backdate. We check every day. We got the call us tomorrow from the Bullion Bank this morning, and again, for the last 18 months, year and a half or so to 2 years, there's been a difference in price between the older ones and the newer ones. That price gap is going away, and I think here by the end of the year there probably won't be one, because usually there isn't. Silver Eagle's a Silver Eagle, but right now I don't have any backdate Silver Eagles. $20 gold, there is none. You'll have to go up to an AU to get a $20 gold piece. Today, I do have 16. These are MS-62 $20 Liberties. An ungraded raw 20, which I just told you I can't get, is $1,310. Now, you know, at Patriot, we have a thing about paying more for gold. We hate it. We don't like it. We want you to buy the best gold at the best price, and our opinion of what the best gold is really simple, because there's lots of choices, right? There's gold bars, right? There's Krugerrands, there's Maple Leafs, there's Philharmonics. I mean, there's all kinds of different. There's Pandas. There's Gold Eagles, there's Buffaloes, there's so many different ways. There's paper gold, which always makes me laugh. Paper gold, obviously it's like you have a receipt, you don't actually have the gold. But the best way to buy it, in our opinion, is to be as private as possible, right? Which means, can I buy it? Can I sell it? Can I trade it? And can I do those things without getting 1099? Right? And that's how we want you to buy. And then, of course, most importantly, then we want you to pay the least amount possible. So it's a home run. When you go up the scale of a raw gold piece, which means, now think about this, we sell the older private gold, pre-1933. Gold was used as money, right? If your bill at the hardware store was $20, right, you put down that $20 gold piece. You think about those cowboy movies, and they have the stagecoach, and they're going to rob the stagecoach. Right? Those were $20 gold pieces, $10 gold pieces, $5 gold pieces in those big burlap sacks bouncing all around. How it was. So these coins have different amounts of wear. What we believe in is at the lower end, you can buy great-looking material. Right? They're not worn flat. They don't got holes in them. I mean, they look nice. And let's face it, we've been doing this for over 2 decades. So obviously, we're doing it right. But you're able every once in a while to buy a higher premium coin from us, but we don't charge you the higher premium. See what the difference is? And so this case, we've got 16 MS62. And what does MS mean? Mint state. So coins, just like anything else, right? Everything's graded, right? You have your basic model, right? And then you have extra fine, very fine AU, which is almost uncirculated. Some even have like what they call BU, brilliant uncirculated. And then they grade them. And it's a scale, think about a scale of 0 to 10. So this one's an MS62, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's like 6, 7 grades higher than our normal one. These come encapsulated in a hard plastic case, so that way you can't do, any damage to them. And the regular price, and you know what, I didn't even pull it up. I should have, I didn't. But nonetheless, I know this for a fact. You're talking about a price that's over $1,400, way over $1,400. I've got 16 of them available today at $1,300. So that's actually $10 less than the cheapest $20 gold coin I could buy, if I could buy it, which I can't. They are on their way from Pennsylvania, so we don't have them here. We don't have them in Colorado, but they're going to be here probably at the end of this week. But either way, if you buy them in Colorado, I'll ship them up there as well. Phoenix, you can come pick them up, or we'll ship them. It doesn't matter. 16 mint state, 62 $20 Liberties at $10 less than the cheapest $20 coin, which I can't even get, at 800-951-0592. That is our toll-free number. There also is, I'll just tell you what's out there, okay? There's no 20s, like I said. $10 Indian, $5 Indians, nada, nothing. $5 Liberties, we got made aware of 30 of them. Now, we have them, and between Jason and I, we probably got about half and half in Phoenix and Colorado, but there's $35 Liberties. These are in stock in both places at $345. So you'll save $10 there if you want to get something a little smaller. If you're saying, hey, Double, which one are you buying? Obviously, first buy the 62s and then get down to that fractional side. But premiums are rising. This is exactly what we've anticipated. We've got this perfect storm where demand has really, really picked up now. Remember on Thursday evening, Friday morning, the U.S. Mint ran out of Silver Eagles. We'll let you know when those are back. But for right now, Silver Eagles are on delay. $20 golds disappeared, right, and all of this. So at least until things normalize, this is going to be the pattern day in, day out. One of the great articles on our website this morning talking about demand. And again, you got to know where to look. We know that Russia every month, 25, 26, 24 metric tons a month. News out of China, the first half year numbers are now in. China in June alone imported 81 metric tons of gold for the month. And by the way, a metric ton of gold is 32,150 ounces. So that would be, just a little gold, about 2.6 million ounces of gold in a month. They said that, by the way, that was the highest monthly total going all the way back to March of last year. That's 40% higher than it was in May. And for the first 5 months of 2018, they imported 605 metric tons. So now you add the 81 metric tons on top of that. China, in just half a year, imported 686 metric tons of gold. You do what the Russians have done. So you take Russia, which we know they've done about 160 metric tons. So we'll kind of round up and say 850 metric tons from Russia and China in just the first 6 months. You double that number. That'd be 1,700 metric tons, and that's imported. China exports no gold, plus they mine 400 metric tons, right? So, by the way, total mine supply, and this is a number now that is starting to fall. Total mine supply is about 3,000 metric tons. China's the largest producer in the world, and Russia and Australia are in a battle for second. Last year there was a 6-ton difference between the two. But if China and Russia are not exporting any gold, you have essentially 2,400 of the 3,000 metric tons being consumed by those two nations. India, which really doesn't produce any gold, they do anywhere from 800 to 1,000 metric tons. So let's just split it, call it 900. That'd be 3,300 metric tons, which, by the way, would mean we need at least 300 metric tons of scrap to go with it. So when you start looking at where we are as far as where gold is headed, I think we're getting set up here, right? The perfect storm kind of coming into the gold markets as we start looking at, we know actually gold's done fairly well in every currency but the dollar. And now we're kind of looking at the dollar top that could be, and it appears like maybe coming in here as interest rates. There's going to be a lot of talk about interest rates either slowing or stopping altogether by the middle of 2019. Looks like we may be really setting up for this bottom. So the demand situation out of China actually got better. So more demand this year than last year. More demand from Russia this year than last year, right? You start to get the idea. More demand, more demand, more demand. And now all of a sudden, and really it's been like the last 4 to 5 weeks, demand here in the United States has really taken off. And I think that's kind of an indicator that the real money is starting to get a little leery that the top may be in here. But we'll have to wait and see. The share of bankruptcy filings. Okay, so you think about who's filing bankruptcy in America. Is now the majority of it now coming from people 65 and older. See, this didn't used to happen because older people used to get this thing called pension. And remember, I've been doing a lot about pensions lately, about how they've taken the pension away from us. This is an evil trick that they did. And replaced it with that crappy 401k and act like they've done you a favor. The cost of living is now significantly outpacing incomes. See, here's what's funny. think Wall Street companies care about this now? They don't. They used to, right? They would have been up in arms, right? The Federal Reserve really took away one of the major checks and balances it had because it got Wall Street in their back pocket now. They don't care. Hey, you got rid of pensions for us. We don't care. We want to make profit. Healthcare costs, housing, listen, everything. And debts are swelling. There's been more than a 200% increase in the rate of older Americans filing for bankruptcy. Wow, think about it. It makes sense, doesn't it? But no one explains it to you like that, do they? Right? No one takes the time to explain why, like the Patriot Radio News Hour does. Patriot Trading Group, 800-951-0592. We'll be back right after the break.
This is the Phyllis Schlafly Report, presenting a daily conservative pro-family perspective since 1983 and continuing the legacy of Phyllis Schlafly. And now, from the archives of Phyllis Schlafly Eagles, here is Phyllis Schlafly.
The American Revolution gave us independence and political and religious liberty, but economic conditions had changed very little in thousands of years. Then suddenly, in the short space of 2 centuries, America experienced a tremendous explosion of human energy, an expansion of wealth, a rise in living standards that exceeded all the economic changes in the thousands of years that preceded our Constitution. Why did this happen? What made America different was the economic freedom guaranteed by the United States Constitution. The Founding Fathers understood that securing to individual inventors the right to own and market their original ideas is just as much a part of economic freedom as any other personal labor. Before the United States Constitution, there were no laws that gave an inventor the right to own his invention. Our Founding Fathers wrote into the Constitution this uniquely American rule: the Congress shall have power to promote the progress of science and useful arts by securing for limited times to authors and inventors the exclusive right to their respective writings and discoveries. Almost immediately, inventors started applying for patents. President George Washington signed the Patent Act, which established the uniquely American rule that inventions should be encouraged by guaranteeing to every inventor the exclusive right to his invention for a fixed term of years, after which the public is free to use it. We've seen the spectacular results of this unique section of our Constitution. America has only 5% of the world's population, but we have created more wealth than all other nations in the world combined. Leonardo da Vinci in the 15th century drew pictures of his original ideas for an automobile, an airplane, a parachute, and a multi-barrel gun, but his inventions existed only on paper. Only in America could such ideas actually be built, and we owe that to the United States Constitution, whose anniversary we celebrate today.
This has been the Phyllis Schlafly Report from Phyllis Schlafly Eagles. American ingenuity should be celebrated and rewarded. Individual inventors should be protected from any threat, foreign or domestic, that would steal their patents and profits. At phyllisschlafly.com, we promise to stand up for those who work hard, innovate, and dream big. If that's you, join us at phyllisschlafly.com. And thanks for listening to the Phyllis Schlafly Report.
800-951-0592. Talking about debt. And remember, this is what the central bank is all about. It's not about you. It's not about making you better off. It's about devaluing, and it's about debt creation. That's what it's about. And, of course, what have they done? Right? They've done something that every textbook that has ever been written about economics said the central bank should never do. Right? Interest rates to zero. Oh, by the way, and leave them there for 10 years. Right? It wasn't like it was an emergency for 6 months or a year. 10 years. We had negative rates all over the country. Well, the world. We weren't quite there. All over the world, still debt and negative rates in some places. And of course, why would it be that every economist that had ever lived said you shouldn't do it? Why would it be that our founding fathers wanted the currency to be gold and silver? Because they know the quote-unquote money changers, the bankers, can't help themselves. And so they made sure to put up some huge walls around all your real money. What I mean by that is what you think are your savings, right? The money that's in your bank is not yours. The money that's in your 401k is not yours. The money that's in your IRA is not yours. And they built all of these great walls. So the next time it blows up, they already know where to go get it. See, and every time that they've done it, and you got to think now, remember, the central bank has only been around for a little over 100 years. We've really only been a full fiat floating currency since 1971. So coming up on about 50 years. Think about all the debt that we know about. Right? So we got debt here of, I'm going to round up. By the end of the year, we're going to be at $22 trillion. 1971, we had $400 billion of debt as a country, but I might as well have said zero. Okay, so we've increased the national debt by $22 trillion in less than 50 years. The Federal Reserve has over $4 trillion of debt as well. So now that's $26 trillion. There was no pension crisis anywhere in America. I've heard now the pension crisis now is up to about $5 trillion. Social Security and Medicare, despite what they tell you, already because there's no trust fund. Right? We understand there isn't one. They never actually bought the security. They pretend, but they're already paying out more than it takes in already. And now you're starting to hear what's happening to our standard of living. Is it coincidence? What, you think our standard of living is just going down because? This is what they've done. This is why currencies always go to zero. This is why you better pick up the phone and make sure you have a little insurance. That's all it is. There's no getting out of this. They didn't fix anything. Now, is it better than what it was 10 years ago? They want you to believe that it is, but let me explain it to you a little better. Debt among older Americans is rising at a blistering pace. Remember, this is how they fixed it. They mispriced debt, right? Brought rates down to zero, and even now, even the rates now, they're ridiculously low. I know it doesn't feel like they're low because of the last 10 years, but if you take away the last 10 years, this would be historically, outside of about a 1-year period after 9/11, the lowest they've ever been. The average debt for families with households over the age of 75. It used to be 75-year-old didn't have debt. They owned their home. They owned their car. Right? You know I'm right, because your parents, that's how it was. They probably, if they had a solid middle class, and I'm not talking wealthy solid. You were a postman. I know because this was my grandparents. They had their house paid for, and they had a little house in Florida. Guess what? Paid for. He was a postal worker. After World War II, that's what he did. My grandmother didn't work. She raised the family. And that's what a solid middle class upbringing could bring you. Did they live in the expensive part of Florida? No. Did they live in the McMansion in Syracuse, New York? No, but they lived in a decent neighborhood. You know what we've replaced it with? The average debt now, $36,757,000 in your 75 or older. That number has jumped 20% in 8 years. You want to know what inflation is? There's a number. 20% in 8 years. You're talking about people that when you look at the percentages of families 75 and older with debt, that number has increased 60% since 2007. Why? Because the Fed mispriced the debt. And now what are they doing? They're trying to, get back to what they use the word normalize. We're trying to normalize. Really what it means is a bunch more people are going to end up filing for bankruptcy because guess what? They could barely make it at the unnormalized number. The average monthly Social Security check, by the way, $1,404. You think you're paying off your debt? Paid $1,400. I'm going to break down mortgage debt when we return. Don't touch that dial. Well, I know I'm wildly entertaining. Obviously, I'm not, but in my own mind, I am. I'm a legend in my own mind. But Wendy just told me that we haven't sold a single MS-62. Right? Not one? Not one. Are you kidding me? I'll tell you what. I'm not doing another show till they're all gone because it is the dumbest price on a Mint State 62 that I've had maybe ever. $10 less than the cheapest gold coin I could get if I could get it, and I can't. Mint State 62s, $1,300 at 800-951-0592. And yes, there are still some 5 libs. Even though I told you by the 21st, people, I get it. Some of you out there don't have 1,300. I get it. We still have 5 libs, and the 5 libs are live in stock in here, both here and Colorado. The 62s have already left Pennsylvania. They left Pennsylvania this weekend. And they're on their way here. We'll have them out as soon as they land. $1,300 on the 62s, $345 on the $5 Liberty Gold pieces at 800-951-0592. By the way, before the end of the show, I'm going to give you a new update on when we hit $40 trillion. I've got a new number for you. Don't want to miss it. Share of homeowners, and this is what they've done. They don't go back far enough for me, okay? But they go back to 1995. The number of homeowners aged 65 and older that had mortgage debt was only 22%, right? So just over 1 in 5 people the age of 65 or older had mortgage debt. And remember, listen, I'm not an elitist. I didn't come from some super wealthy family, right? My dad's parents, I just told you, was a postman, and my grandmother was a stay-at-home mom. On my mom's side, my grandfather was a brick mason. That's what he was, right? My grandmother stayed at home, raised the kid. People over the age of 65 with mortgage debt in 1995 was 22%. They're only up to 2016, right? It takes time. They now say the number, it's up a little bit, 41%. So we went from about 1 in 5 to almost, 1 in 2. Almost every other person, household with a mortgage, that owns a home, has a mortgage in 2016. How does this happen? See, and this is what I'm talking about. Quality of life evaporating. Right? And again, the central banks are out there printing up all this money, mispricing debt, and trying to tell us that they gave us prosperity. It's not prosperity. Here's the other thing. I would love to know how many of the homeowners even own the home now, right? That percentage, right? Less and less people today are owning homes than ever before. More and more people, nobody can pay them off. Remember Jingle Mail? Well, I hate to see that come back. It may. Remember that? People don't have money. Bankruptcy filings skyrocketing for 65 and older. People that still have to have a mortgage at the age of 65 and older, skyrocketing. How do you think that is? Why do you think that is? Do you actually think that things are getting better or worse? The United States government talking about the size of the debt just in July. Okay, so we're going back not even a couple months ago. The interest that the government had to pay to borrow money in the month of July jumped 41% year over year. This is how big it's getting. Shh, don't tell anybody. If we don't tell them, then they won't know. July's number, the government paid $40.5 billion just in interest. Think about the sucking sound. The year before was only $28 billion. And guess what? It's only getting worse. Every time they raise the rate, it adds to the problem. Let me give you a great example. The interest expense the U.S. government paid in April, May, and June was up 22%, 28%. Then in June, it was down to 6%, but then July, it shot up, right, in July to 41%. But here's the picture. The expense of the interest is climbing just, let's call it about 28% a month more year over year, and it's not going to stop. So I got a few updates for you. I got a new timeline. You know, I tell you, in 10 years, the debt's going to be $40 trillion. That number's old. Let me give you some new numbers. The United States will go $2 trillion in debt by 2021 for a single year. By 2026 now, and this is just the back of a napkin calculation, I believe that is the year we will hit $40 trillion. What do you think the interest payment's going to be then? Patriot Radio News Hour. Pick up those 20s. Final segment coming up. 800-951-0592. Gold's up 2.5, $1,197 and change. Silver is up as well, $14.15 on silver. Let me get a quick shot at the Dow. Not that it really matters. The make-believe stock market down 37 points right now, 25,000 in change. 800-951-0592. And I know Hilarious. So the phone rings. And I'm like, okay, finally, I woke you guys up. More fives. I still have all 16 Mint State 6220 libs. And if we don't sell them today, this show will repeat because there's nowhere in the country are you going to pay. It's got to be the cheapest price in the country. It's got to be the best deal it is. It's the best deal I have. And this is how serious we are about the business. I don't want to sell you something else that isn't as good. If you want to buy all 16 of them, I'll tell you what. You buy all 16 of them, and I'll go $1,285. So if you want to go and get all 16 of them, it'll be $20,560. Otherwise, one by one, $1,300 on Mint State 6220s. Of course, I'll still sell the 5, which is a good price. $345 is a good price. Don't get me wrong. But, $345, 4 of those, that's $1,380. See how much better that 20 is? 800-951-0592. Talked about $40 trillion. When? 8 years. 2026. Guess what also I think is happening in 2026? That's when the fake trust fund gets busted. Same thing's going to happen. Right? The storm is here. I liken it to this hurricane. And they're morons. We got that one coming, and please prepare. Right? Let's hope it's not as bad, but it looks like this thing's going to be a bad one that's heading towards the Carolinas, and they'll put those reporters in harm's way because that's this time we're so sensationalized anymore. The financial crisis was like the first wave. And then when the eye of the storm passes over, it's like dead quiet. Right? And we've had this dead quiet. Well, that eye is getting ready to pass by now. And now the big part of the storm, which is behind the eye, is coming. And all of these things are converging at once. The debt right now, we are $28 billion away from $21.5 trillion. So just because I got $18.5 trillion in the next 8 years, we're going to average $2.3 trillion of debt a year. Think about the interest. Think about what it's going to cost. On top of that, 8 years, the fake trust fund is gone. Right? Medicare's broke. Social Security broke. Pension. You understand. And I don't mean to laugh. Listen, it's not scary. That's what's supposed to happen. It's what fiat money does. Only question is, did you prepare? 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour. Maybe I'll be back tomorrow. Maybe not. Everyone take care. Have a great day.